Here we are going to focus on admissions team, administrative office, the registrar's office, and we are going to understand that they will be working very closely with the invigilators, admissions officers, potential applicants, which are our students with specific learning disabilities, and how can they support them. It's very important to be able to nominate and appoint a nodal officer for a seamless admission cycle, and this person needs to be aware of the needs of the students because they will look into the entrance, the counseling, stipend, orientation, accommodation, streamlining all of this, whatever resources in terms of assistive technology is required, any sort of counseling support that is required for the students. Now beyond this, we have to streamline all the processes, and this will be divided into two parts. One will be securing admissions and the other will be upon admissions. For securing admissions, you need to make sure that you welcome UDID cards. They're issued by the competent authorities and you're taking them in, and this is a part of your securing admission process. Upon the admission process, you need to make sure that you're able to provide the candidate with the subject option they want to opt for, understand what kind of support do they require to perform better, make sure that all the adequate resources are available on your campus to help them. Then you have to appoint mentors. These mentors help these students perform better. They guide them, they support them. Mandating need-based assessment sessions are very crucial. You'll have a lot of students with different disabilities coming on board, and if we just focus on students with specific learning disabilities, you will understand that no two students will have very similar needs. The needs might differ from each other. It's very important that you understand that what is the support they require and what accommodation can you provide them. Coordinating with the office of students becomes very important. This admission cell will help other departments be aware and communicate the needs of the students better, so they can perform, they can actually have a successful, inclusive access to the entire campus. Last but not the least, conducting orientation sessions, not just for students but everybody on campus, to understand what do the 21 disabilities look like, what are the supports required, and this will help you build the confidence required in your new candidates to be able to advocate for themselves better. Then we talk about inclusive outreach. This is very important and critical to have more and more students who qualify to be a part of your campus. We will focus on the senior secondary school, the staff of these schools, the parents, and our senior secondary students. Actively engaging with these students is very, very important to attract them to your institute. You should be able to communicate very well of the inclusive processes. A student might get through several institutes, can be applicable to get different subjects, but it's very, very crucial for them to opt for the right institute as per the accommodations and the inclusive nature of the processes in those institutes. As we go ahead, you will hear from a lot of people how the reason why they selected an institute was because of the inclusivity that they were ready to provide to their students. You need to make sure that all the information around admissions, the applications, are in accessible format. Now, this does not mean that you have a photo of a PDF which is a JPEG image and then just upload it. You need to make sure it's a PDF which is able to be read on screen readers. You can use text to speech on it, which is very, very important for your PWD candidates. Keeping up-to-date records of all the inclusive policies and the mandates, and be able to put it up on your website so a student, their parent, the school is well aware of the inclusive nature of your institute. Ensure explicit mention of all inclusive provisions that you have provided. Having some of these success stories is very important. Around the cycle when the admissions start, you need to unlock the potential of your communications team to be able to communicate the needs that are being accommodated on your campus very well. Document different case studies, successful studies of students under the PWD quota on your campus to help other students understand that how successful their journeys can be, help them be more inspired to become a part of your institute. We need to recognize that all the 21 disabilities which are formally addressed under the RPWD Act 2016, they should be ensured to have all the possible accommodations on your access and make sure they get past the entire admissions process very successfully. Capacity building becomes very important to support the students after they're on your campus. We need to make sure our invigilators, admission officers, our potential applicants know very well what they need, what does the disability mean, how can they be supported, ensuring the training of counseling personnel to not demand further proof of disability after a candidate has released the UDID for further verification is very important. This can be very difficult, overstimulating, anxiety driven for a student to keep talking about proving and verifying the disability again and again, even though they have already done it and they have the necessary documents to prove it. Training admission officers to ensure that there is availability of AT, and also we need to make sure that how do they reach their candidates in a more sensitive manner. What are the terms they should be using? What are the terms they should not be using? We should always stick to the term disability and not disease, issue or a problem. Every disability has certain struggle and challenges, and that is what we need to look into. How can they be supported with those? The last but not the least is that you comply with all the legal mandates that the regulators have set in to help our students qualify the possible process of admission and get the right support. Understanding this and capacity building of the institute will not only help you become inclusive but also help you achieve your higher education enrollment target better. Schemes and scholarships are a very important part, and we need to work towards helping our students, applicants understand this, be aware of this. Implementing the scholarships and schemes by government to encourage students is very crucial. Ensuring that the application fees is reduced, the right financial aid is provided to the students. Your web page is highlighting all of this. Tapping into the institution's alumni network or private or CSR initiatives to be able to fund this process better is something that works very well. You should be able to ensure the availability of assistive tech by unlocking these funds, and make sure that you collaborate with your communications team to post all the information around this very well. Ensure that students with SLDs can avail the scholarship which is provided under the RPWD Act. Anything that is provided as a scholarship scheme or a fund to students with disability under the Act will also be inclusive for students with specific learning disability. Onboarding of students is the most important process, because once your students have gotten past the entire process of securing admissions, they will now venture into your campus, and you need to understand how can this be made more efficient, how can you support them better for this. Coordinating with your nodal officers to carry out this entire process of need-based assessment is very important. Assessing each student's need, whether as per planning, academics, tutoring, their accommodation on campus, which is the provision for hostel, is something that you take care of and is recorded well to be communicated to other departments. Making screening available for students that you think during that process that might be at risk of a disability but they have not been diagnosed yet is something that can support the journey of these students better once they identify the challenges as per their disability. Providing accessible formats, conducting orientation sessions, and this is something that you should continue across the ecosystem of the campus. It's just not necessary for you to do it for the admissions team or the communications team, but conducting the same for faculty, for department heads, for students, the new students on campus, the students which are already there, is something that is going to make the entire ecosystem very inclusive. You have to remember that when admissions are made inclusive for individuals with SLDs, the possibilities of having these many more innovations and growth on campus is going to go multifold. So let's make sure that we make the entire process of admissions and strengthen it, make them more inclusive, so that we do not miss out on the next genius from our campuses.